Hey there. In today's video, we are going to make a bracelet for somebody who is just absolutely bright and cheery and just absolutely fun to be around. And I'll tell you way more about her as we make her bracelet. So let's do this. Hello and welcome. This is Kevin, also known as AKAAWOL, and today we are working on this very pink bracelet for somebody who I'm kind of just getting to know, but she is absolutely a delight to be around. This pattern is my mod from the 20998 one, where I changed it from 12 to 16 strings. So we have 8 strands on this side and 8 on this side, and yeah, this is a tiny, very petite little bracelet, which probably means I'm gonna need my glasses. That should help. All right. Yeah, so the person who is getting this is, her handle on Instagram is I'm Not a Girl, but she's obviously very much a girl. She is just absolutely bubbly and amazingly fun to be around. She does, how I met her was, there is Music in the City down at Suntech, which is an area that I like to hang out at, and her and Guitar something, I'll put his name down below so you can read it, we're doing these little concert things down there, and whoops, it's the bright pick, and I ended up talking to them because they're just fun, and she plays a ukulele, and I have ukuleles. I don't play very well, but I like them, and got talking to her, and she had a pink microphone. And the second time I went, she did not have the pink microphone, and I asked her what happened. And it turns out, as I had guessed, the pink microphone was her own personal microphone, and it just wasn't working out for her. It kept cutting out when she tried to go out into the audience. So she started using one from Suntech. And yeah, it was just like, I'm like, yeah, I kind of guessed that the pink one was your own. And she's like, oh, you already know me. I was like, yeah, okay. And then she started talking about how pink was her absolute favorite color, and how she's looking forward to the Barbie movie that's coming out soon. And I thought, I could actually work with the color pink and make something fun. So some of these colors kind of look more reddish, and that is because they are fluorescent, and the camera just does not know what to do with that level of brightness. It just freaks the camera right out. But I can assure you, this is some Barbie pink kind of stuff right here. So yeah, it's a little bit exciting. Mind you, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to get to making all of the bracelet here today because, well, first off, it's a lot of string, and it just probably going to take a long time to cover any kind of space when you're dealing with like the single strands like this. But we'll try. We'll see what we can do. So it's bright pink, then have to be very cautious here at the beginning of the bracelets, because you don't want to accidentally get the strings in the wrong order. Like after the first row is in, it's a lot easier to see the proper sequence. But until that happens, it's a little bit dodgy. So yeah. And I have the pattern up on my computer screen here in front of me to help me along, because this is definitely not the kind of pattern that one just memorizes. So there is that. And we reused, so you may have seen this pattern before, like Mandy has a bracelet with this pattern. So you've probably seen it from me before. What we've done though is we've kind of brought down the number of colors down to 4. Or is it 4? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 colors. So yeah, that was kind of deliberate, because there's not a whole lot of like colors in the range of this pink in general. So the fluorescent was obviously the one I was, first wanting to go for, and then this lighter shade of pink that I'm actually working with right now was pretty cool. And then we have a white, which will also work with the fluorescent lights. And then we have a red, which is barely going to show up at all in the pattern itself. It just has a little spot where it pops out. So I think that's going to make it kind of fun, make it interesting. So yeah. So this I'm Not a Girl is absolutely one of the busiest people. Holy moly. She, like I said, does the busking. So she's going around with her, I'm imagining her keyboard or maybe the ukulele, going out to places, playing music to try to earn some money. She is also a local radio DJ. So she does that periodically. I don't know how frequently. I haven't listened to her on the radio yet. But I will. I'm going to. Let's see what else. She's playing those concerts on Wednesdays and Fridays down at Suntech. And it seems, I guess she does other like events, like people can hire her to sing at their events. I saw that on the schedule thing, that there was some stuff going on, even some out around by me. I don't know if it's open to the public or if it's like a private thing, but yeah, like just so busy. Like that's amazing. Like, I have so much respect for somebody who, puts in so much effort. And seriously, like when I've seen her, like she gets the kids involved in singing and stuff, and they're doing Disney songs and getting the kids to sing along, and just a great person. I mean, that to me is just wow. That's awesome. So yeah. So she's gonna get. I imagine this is gonna come as quite a surprise. Like I'm not even sure. I let her know that like I was following her on Instagram, and that's how I knew a few things. Oh, I know what else she does. She's a mermaid. Go figure, right? She is a mermaid. That was the other one. She apparently there's a hotel with a bar that has like a swimming pool that kind of looks down on the bar or whatever, and she's a mermaid. Puts on the whole tail and everything and goes out there and entertains people. I thought that's pretty neat too. Yeah. So yeah, this is the video. This video here will come out after she's already received it. I'm not sure if I'll get any video footage of me giving it to her. Kind of probably not, right? That just kind of kind of seems a little creepy, but yeah, we'll see how that goes. I think the other one's like Guitar Street, whatever. He did not indicate his favorite color, otherwise I'd probably be making him one as well. But the duo, they're both a lot of fun. Super approachable. He had a neon light that I'm interested in having for in the office, and when I asked him about it, he's like, "Oh yeah, here, just direct message me, and I'll send you a link." And just absolutely so cool. Like no, whatever. Just yeah, I'll send you a link. So yeah, good people. Yeah, so far no red is showing. So what you see is red in knots is actually the uh, the super neon pink. I wish there was a way of color balancing it to be able to actually show what it really is, because it's it's so bright. I wonder if they had problems with this, like when they actually did the Barbie movie, like trying to get the pinks, the colors to show up on camera, right? Like how did they do that? Because I know that that's a trick. Like if you look up the Addams family and take a look at what colors were in their house, there was lots of pinks, and basically because it was shot in black and white, in order to get the the details of all the wallpapers and all the stuff going on, um, that's how they did it. They actually made the room with shades of like pinks and reds and things to actually get the details to show up, which I found that fascinating. That's I love when color is used in ways to like that. Hang on, I need my little keyboard. This is I'm kind of crossing off what's already been accomplished, because this pattern is super intense. All right. Yeah, I don't necessarily do this where I have to cross off on the using GIMP on the pattern itself, but a pattern like this that has so many different little things going on, I just find that it's a whole lot easier. And yeah, if you have the means, why not, right? It just makes sense. And I have a little small keyboard that's I don't know, 20, 30 keys, but it allows me to hit the shift key, which if you're using the pencil tool and shift, you can make a line from point A to point B. Like you just put a dot down somewhere, and then you go to wherever the next point is, and when you click, it'll put a line between the two spaces, so it's easier than trying to manipulate the mouse around to cross off the spaces that you've done. So yeah, this is kind of moving along sort of quick, I guess. I'm. It's not as fast as say some of the stuff I do on my live streams, but that's because the knots are super tiny, and I have to look at the pattern a lot. There's no getting around it. It's not like just doing a zigzag where the everything sort of falls into place. It doesn't happen. Even if I were to try to do this like several times in a row, I imagine I would still look at my pattern every time. And you may notice I just shifted it up into the clip a little bit more. There wasn't a lot into the clip, and it kind of makes it so it shifts around a lot, and it's harder to keep your tension if your bracelet's constantly moving around on you. So that's kind of like an avoidable thing that we can do. Okay, so now I see it. It's the white here comes out and back, comes to this one, goes this way and back. And then this pink comes out and back. And over the white. And this one comes down. So yeah, this is, I know I'm going to probably say this 100 times in this video, this is super complicated. But it just really comes out to being such a fun pattern. It's just really nice to look at. So especially with this few of colors. Like I honestly, I mean, I suppose I could have just done a zigzag pattern, and I'm sure she'd have probably been like, wow, that's really cool and stuff. But she really does so much for the community, from, you know, like getting kids to singing, and, you know, being in front of a large audience that all applauds for them and stuff. I mean, she's just like such a great person. I really think she deserved something really nice. So I'll give another example of how kind. So when I saw her, I had asked about the ukulele, because I saw her, you know, with the warm-up, getting the ukulele tuned and everything. And then we only stuck around for the first set, so I never actually got to see her play it. And when I told her that, like, you know, oh, are you going to play the ukulele tonight? She's like, oh, I didn't even bring it. Yeah, this is the second time I went down, right? So the second time I go down, I ask if she's going to play it. And she's like, no, she didn't even bring it. And that, you know, why? Because, and I explained that, like, I have ukuleles, I'm just not very good at playing them. And she told me honest that if I sent her a message that I'll be down there on whatever day, that she will make sure that she brings the ukulele along with her. And I was just like, you know, she doesn't she doesn't know me. She doesn't owe me the, you know, the coming down, and has to bring it or anything. Like, she's just that kind of person. Just so, yeah, oh, that's what you want? I'll bring it along. Yeah, so impressed. So impressed. Like, what a great human. That's that's awesome. It's gonna be it's gonna be a little awkward if she actually discovers like my YouTube channel and like actually watches this. I'm gonna be like, I can just imagine myself turning all kinds of shades of red. Not like this though. It'll be more, proper red. Okay, where am I at? So my understanding is there are some people who really like to not alongside people on YouTube. So, like, as I'm making this bracelet, you might be working on something yourself. And if you would like to share that with me, you can join us over on Discord. The link will be down below. You can join us over there and you can share your images and show me what it is that you're working on. Maybe you got something that's even cooler than this. I don't know. I do know that some of my followers or other nodders are working on some pretty big projects. There's one is out there making a bag for their microphone. They like to do karaoke and they have their own mic. I think that's brilliant. Another one wanted to make a bag for a vaping pen or whatever those things are. I don't know. I don't vape. Again, cool idea. You have something that you want to take with you and you want to put a little time into your craft. I think that's pretty cool. I don't think vaping is cool. Don't put me on record as being down with the whole vaping. Um, I think tobacco products are dangerous, whether it's with smoke or vaping or however you ingest it. I think it's potentially very dangerous, and life is precious, and you don't want to ruin it putting stuff into your body that is potentially going to do a lot of damage. So, but that's just my opinion. I don't know. I know my father, he smoked. He ended up dying at age 55. So, he had a heart attack. Did the smoking contribute to it? I don't know. Maybe. I know that he had a problem with putting salt on pretty much everything and a lot. And that taught me some bad habits growing up. I've had to learn to not put salt on stuff. Apparently that's really bad for your blood pressure, so. And when I say I had to learn, seriously, it's like trying to reprogram yourself into being a better version or something, because it's it's hard at first, you know, everything just tastes like meh, it's not as good. I miss my salt, you know. But now I'm kind of to the point where um, if something is salty, I'm kind of ew, and I want. It took a while to get there. So I kind of feel like some of the patterns really starting to show through. It's we're kind of getting to a point where you can kind of see the interchange between the white and the real bright pink. So one of the things when I'm working on something like this is I will look and see like, okay, so that was supposed to be bright pink over bright pink. The next knot is supposed to be bright pink over light pink. And the next knot is bright pink to bright pink. And I'm checking as I go along to make sure that all those strings were exactly in the right order, because if there's something wrong, that would be like the quickest, easiest way to spot it is, you know, seeing if everything is exactly in the sequence that the pattern shows. And yeah, it is. No mistakes so far. Sounds good. Now you have to cross off some more accomplishment here. This area here. This to here. And that to there. Okay. Yeah, so finding out that I'm not a girl is actually a mermaid, that kind of tickled me. When I was young, my father used to take me to a place down in Florida. I think it's called Wikiwaki? Wiki? I don't know. I don't know how to say it. It's a weird word, named after the springs that were probably named by the Indians or something. But they have a mermaid show, and I used to watch the girls there do all kinds of flips and tricks and all kinds of neat stuff in their mermaid costumes. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. I remember really enjoying that as a kid. Wikiwaki, I don't know. So as you might notice, I am trying to do a lot of segment knotting here. There's trying to get, you know, like this side done and then, you know, concentrate on the other side. It helps kind of speed things along. I learned that there are some people out there who kind of just go straight down the rows, one row after another, which Yeah, I have never done that ever, and I don't suspect that I ever probably would. It's not an efficient way of making a bracelet. When you do segmenting, when you stick to one area at a time, like over here, right? There's very few strings in my way. I've set everything I'm not working with off to the side. This will make um, doing this a whole lot easier and a lot faster. Otherwise, you'd be constantly trying to sort out your strings and where to set them and stuff. So yeah. Ooh, my string got flipped around itself. There we go. So the pink comes back in. So down in the comments, leave me a comment. Tell me what colors you would do this bracelet in if it were for yourself. You know, are you a pink person? Would you do this with blues or sea colors? You know, like the sea green. What would you do? Mine has got this orange yellow combination with like a sky blue, and then there's a dark blue with bits of green and gray in it. Mind you, mine is the original Meshed Differently bracelet. Was my first try at taking two patterns and putting them together, not end to end but sideways, like together. And I was so pleased with myself. I kept the bracelet for myself. Every once in a while I'll come across a pattern that I just think is like so whatever, like I can't let it go. Not very often. Most of my bracelets end up over my shop over on akaawol.com/shop. You can go check out what's available over there. There's a sale going on until the end of the month. You can take advantage of that if you're so inclined. Crossing off a little bit more of what's accomplished. It's about to change what it does. Okay. And by reusing some of these colors, you can see like the two lighter pinks come together. I can choose whichever direction to let that happen. It's gonna assure that these colors aren't a problem. They're not getting, you know, used too much or whatever. So that's kind of cool. And like the actual red that gets used so little, it's almost comical. Okay. So yeah, it's not super clear. I don't do the single strand knots nearly as often. They're just such a thinner kind of bracelet. Oh, they're really dainty-ish and stuff, and which is great. I mean, for like people who don't want something bulky on their wrist. But I like to do the string doubled up. It just feels like it's a little bit more robust, a little like it's gonna hold out and last a lot longer. Not to say that these don't last a long time. I know my wife wears her bracelets every day, like it doesn't come off, goes through the shower, everything, and she's never had problems with them wearing out. Like she's more inclined to be like, ooh, you know, you made a new pattern, I want one of those. And that's why she ends up changing up, is that something new came along that she'd rather sport. So yeah. So here's where it sort of comes to an end. And this will be like the first of 4 of these little segments. So it goes over that dark, goes over this dark, and then bounces back. Now this one comes down to the white, and it bounces, allowing the white to make up the little diamondy bit at the very end here, which is a neat little trick. So that goes off that way. This goes over the bright pink and then ties to the other white. And that little thing right there just put the strings back into the same even on either side part, which is, like I said, that's a pretty neat little trick. All right. Next, this neon comes in. And it does its little thing right here. Okay, I need to mark off what's been done. Right. Okay. Need to make sure that I'm not making mistakes, basically. So this is a relatively quiet video, I'm guessing, compared to a lot of my making the patterns and stuff. I suspect my concentration level is much higher because I'm really trying not to make mistakes. If I make a mistake while I'm drawing out a pattern, I can use my mouse or my keyboard and just change that up. It's really easy. Not so much here. So basically it comes down here to this little point and then sort of bounces back and goes back into the same thing again. So that is that. And we've done this and this. Okay. A lot of zigzagging back and forth there. I don't know if you noticed it. It was coming into the left, and then a left right, and then a right left. Lot of little zigzags. So this little pink right here that we just did, that's going to form like an X right at the very center of this. And now that one bounces back. This one comes in. And it too will bounce back. See how that goes to the left and then the right? And here is our red finally. And what will it do? It does like 3 little knots. There's one. There's 2. And there's 3. So yeah, not used very much at all. And yes, I'm still looking at the pattern because it would be too easy to get overconfident and maybe like take this next knot going straight out. It doesn't do that. It goes to the right and then back to the left. And it's those little changes you have to kind of keep an eye out for, because that would kind of spoil things. You wouldn't end up with the colors that you need where you need them. So even when you've been doing bracelets as long as I have, you still have to pay attention to the patterns, especially when they're this advanced. Okay, now that's the other side. And again, I'm just going along with the pattern, making sure like this was over the lighter color, this goes over the bright pink, and then it goes down to the white. Almost. There we go. And now it's the red. I just like how it's just an accenty color that just comes in just this tiny little bit. I don't know why that just tickles me so much, but it really just does. On my bracelet, it would be in between here. It's just one of like a dark blue with the greens. In Mandy's is like gray on the outside and then just a little hint of green. It's pretty neat. Okay. And here's where that pink again, I was saying that makes the X. This is the other side of that right here. Okay. Okay, I got way ahead, so yeah, there's a lot to cross off here. Hang on. Okay. So now we're really into that second segment. This is where the white makes the little diamond at the top of it. wish I could show you guys what this looks like under a fluorescent light, because it's obviously going to be super, super bright and super cool. Okay. So I'm sorry if I'm kind of quiet over here. Again, this is really taking a lot of concentration. It's that kind of pattern, I guess. Okay. Yeah, there's a little bit of like a zigzaggy thing over on that side. You always have to work on the knots that are at the highest point first. It's just how the whole bracelet making goes. If you're new to this and you don't know that, you're not ready for a pattern of this kind of magnitude anyways. But yeah, so there was a whole lot of like trying to sort out what bits needed to come first in order to bring this side down over here. So that was a little bit of a struggle, a little bit of a trying to concentrate, make sure I got it exactly right. And we are on track. And I think we're at a point where we need to slide this up in the clip a little bit. It's just kind of moving around, you know, up and down and whatever, too much. Oh, let me mark off what I got accomplished. Okay, now for this side. Okay. So now it's the bright pink all the way to the edge. And once at the edge, it goes to the right and then the left. Yeah, the knot right there, going to the right and the left, that was such an epiphany for me. Oh my God. Before that, I was making patterns just using just the knots to go to the left and just the knots to go to the right. And that was fine. I could come up with, you know, so many different things just with the two knots. And I was pretty cocky. I believed that I could pretty much do anything that anybody else could do. And so, yeah, I was presented with the problem of remaking a bracelet that had worn out for somebody. And I got real excited about it. And it just wasn't making any sense. I couldn't make it happen until it finally hit me what was so different about this pattern. And it was this zigzaggy knot. It goes to the right and then the left, or a left and then a right. And man, that was the beginning of a whole new era of making bracelets for me. I was suddenly just exploring everything I could do, and that's what led to the graph paper. Was I was trying to sort out patterns that were like too complicated for me to just do in my head. And so I had to find a way of doing it, and that's how my graph paper came about. Was trying to figure out these intense patterns. And here we are. I don't even want to think how many years later. Oh my god, long time later, and I'm still using the graph paper, except for now I'm no longer printing it out and trying to color it in with color pencils, which I can tell you that was tricky, because you had to really commit to, you know, what you thought was going to happen and work it out, and then you make a mistake. Color pencils don't erase very well. So yeah, now I can do all kinds of complicated patterns with no worries, because I use the GIMP program, and yeah, I can paint it in, and I can change out a whole colors, you know, in a big swoop. Let's see. So you can see I'm kind of getting a more ahead on the right hand side here, and this is part of that whole segment knotting I was talking about earlier, is in trying to make it so that way when it's long rows there's room to let them do their thing instead of having to stop part way. So things start to come down towards the right here, and I'm kind of laying that groundwork for it to happen. All right, now figuring out where we got to. So there's that bright pink. That goes to there. And we've done everything along here. Yes, we've done all this. Okay. Yeah, so it's kind of funny to me too. This is, we have like 3 strands of the neon pink, and we have 3 strands of the lighter pink. So in some ways they're kind of, there's a bit of like a balance going on there with those two. But how we use them in the pattern itself kind of really changes the whole tone of it. If I had exchanged those 2 colors, we would have a very, very different bracelet indeed. And I think that is one of the things that kind of keeps me engaged in bracelet making, is that not only can we explore the thousands of different potential patterns, but we can explore, you know, so many different ways of expressing that pattern with color. I mean, my bracelet, my floss supplier has 447 colors to choose from, and I have another one who's got the fluorescent strings, which I think there's like 6 colors to it. So just between those 2 things, I could do so much with colors. Mind you, obviously not everything would just go together. You can't just throw, you know, anything at it and expect it to look good. But yeah, there's a lot of potential for trying different things, and that excites me. That's what keeps me kind of going. After all these years, I'm still trying things out different and trying new combinations and getting excited about various color combinations and such. I don't know if you saw what I just did there. I kind of gave the strings a little tug. They seem to be venturing off, kind of leaning a little hard to the right. Bring them back over to the left a little bit with a little tug, just to kind of straighten things along. Little adjustments like that while you work will make sure that your bracelet comes out really nice and straight. You have to kind of catch if it's leaning or whatever. You have to catch that really early on, and if you wait too long, it's gonna really show. You'll know that that's a thing. So, like, you missed an opportunity to straighten it up, I guess. So I'm kind of wondering how many people here are like new to the channel. I wonder, like, does anybody watch this far in and they're absolutely new to this channel? Because I would be amazed if that was true. I mean, I'm guessing that anybody who's watched me get this far, they are interested in my designs or interested in what I'm doing. But if you're new, I want to hear it. Leave me a comment. You know, what drew you in? Yeah, this is... I'm not sure how many times we're going to do this kind of segment of where I make a bracelet live. If this is something that you guys are into, let me know, because, you know, partially I do feel a little silly trying to talk for as long as it takes to actually make a bracelet. Like, there's a, you know, it just takes a long time, and I'm not sure that anybody really is into it. Like, a lot of my stats show people dropping off quickly on some of the videos. So if you guys are into this and you enjoy this kind of thing, let me know. Because if people like it, if there's even just a couple people who really enjoy it, then I'm down with it. I'll make videos, you know, if I know that there's at least a couple people who enjoy. That would make all the difference in the world to me. And it's hard because, you know, in today's day and age, you know, I just see basic statistics and stuff. It doesn't necessarily reflect anything about what the real people are. It's just numbers and things, and saying that, you know, your watch hours or your how retention rates and things. It doesn't really tell me much about what the people think of the things, and how much, if they're enjoying it, or, you know. So you can see we did a little bit over on the left hand side, and now if we take that and we bring this down, do the left side again, it'll do the same, allow us to kind of jump on it again the same way. It's sort of a neat way of segment knotting. It just, you prepare this side to receive that long, the long rows that come all the way down, and then you go back up and you send it back down again. It's kind of neat. It's hard for me to like express like what is happening, because in my head, like it's a thing. It's not a word that goes on with it. It's just a series of what should happen in what kind of order in order to achieve my end goal, which is to do as much as possible with, you know, an efficiency that helps make this kind of go quick. Because at the end of the day, I've always just wanted the bracelets to come off quickly. I used to go to like music venues. Well, it's kind of like community things, right? Like where just like in a park, you would get, you know, a few hundred people all hanging out on the lawns, and music was playing live, which obviously I love that. That's kind of why I'm making this bracelet for her. I love live music. And I would sit out there and I would make bracelets, and the more I could make, the more I could sell. And people who were really into the event or whatever, they would end up having a souvenir that was, you know, had the vibe from the event, right? Like all my energy going into the bracelet was right there, and they could walk away with a souvenir. So a lot of how I work my knots and how I do what I do is kind of influenced on that whole notion of the quicker I can do it, the less resistance I have to doing it, the quicker I can get on to the next one. Plus, I think there's a whole ADHD dopamine thing about getting it finished and then getting that attaboy reward of the dopamine in the brain that, you know, oh, look, you did a good thing, you know, you finished it. That, you know, that kind of drives me as well. Because if I finish this today, which kind of looking like I might, I probably will take a break from tying knots. Like, honestly, you know, doing too much in a day now is kind of a thing, for my hands, for my back, for my neck. I try to be as ergonomic as possible here, which it's pretty good. I've got it set up. This board is sitting on an easel. It's kind of at the right height that allows me to sit comfortably with it. But yeah, you still need to take a break. Well, it looks like we are going to take a little break here because my video editor won't let me go full on for the videos. So I will finish up the rest of this making video tomorrow. And yeah, thanks for hanging out this long. And thank you to my Patreon supporters who make making these kind of videos possible. I couldn't do it without them. All this stuff takes money to, you know, have cameras and mics and everything else. So thank you guys. We'll be back tomorrow with the conclusion of this making a bracelet. All right. Don't get your strings in a bunch.